ladies and gentlemen, MEC Maile, the board members of Proudly South Africa, the CEO of Proudly South Africa, and everybody that is joining us today. The event here every year has always been a highlight in my life for the last 8 years. But I'm so happy that we have finally made it to that magical number of 13 years. And for me, it's always been the lucky 13. It's the number that I treasure for many different reasons. Building a resilient economy through localization is our theme this year. And when we think about resilience, we think of words like joy and jumping up and down and going forward. But when we read the newspapers, then it appears they are much holding us back. In the local economy, there are very serious concerns. In the global economy, at times one feels a sense of despair as we don't know what the next move is going to be. And the only word that can describe the global economy is that it is unpredictable. But when we focus on home, the reality is that we have got a national emergency when it comes to jobs. Let me share some numbers with you before I do my presentation. And sometimes we talk about these economic indicators in percentages. And what I've done today is to use absolute numbers. In the ages between 15 and 64 years, there are 41 million people living in our country. Of that number, 17 million people are employed. 7.9 million are unemployed. And 3.4, Stats SA categorized as discouraged workers. So of the 41 million, there are effectively 11.3 million people who do not have a job. People who want to work but don't have a job. And this is why this theme is so important, that if we're going to build a resilient economy through localization, that we begin to grasp the challenge of building jobs in this economy. For those of you that are new to Proudly South Africa, I very quickly said that I acknowledge the board members of Proudly South Africa. But Proudly South Africa is one of those wonderful partnerships between the labor movement, the trade unions, that is COSATU, NAPTU, and FEDUSA, and also SAFTU. And then on the other hand, the business community that's represented by a number of the federations of the business community. And then that constituency of community organizations like SANCO and the like. And finally, the government. And I must say that Proudly South Africa would not have been able to function if it was not for the partnership with the government, especially the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. This event, we have built a very powerful partnership with government, and I want to acknowledge the Department of Small Business Development, Transnet, the Gauteng Department of Economic Development, and thank you for being here, MEC, and also in that context, the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, SA Tourism, Brand SA, and the Industrial Development Corporation. So really, this is important to understand that what proudly South Africa represents is that partnership between the four main social partners. And I really want to emphasize that if we look at these numbers in the labor market, we have a serious crisis, and it requires a very serious dialogue between the partners. So what do we expect from the four partners that I have referred to? The first, obviously, is that we need to create a framework for investment in the economy. And I specifically want to emphasize that we expect from government a process that will lead to local procurement. There are many things government can do because it is the biggest procurer of goods and services in the economy, to help entrepreneurs to set up their businesses and recoup their investments in a way that is positive for job creation. We really need to reintroduce the designations that were there before the court case and the new procurement bill was the regulatory burden on especially the small businesses. I understand, and I think as the broad South African community, we appreciate that regulation is a necessary role that government plays to ensure the safety of our communities, like we have seen with the food crisis recently in our townships. But really, we need to look at those regulations carefully and make sure that where it's not necessary, that we lighten that burden on the small businesses. And then, lastly, we need to build the sustainability of the Buy Local campaign. In the private sector, we equally have roles, and I'm pleased to say that this year we will, at some point in the summit, introduce you to members that have made new commitments to procure local. And there will be a discussion about that later. We desperately want companies to make commitments and to honor those commitments. To give you an example, which is a very simple example, our headline sponsor for this year is ABSA. I think it's about 2 years ago, Janine, that they made a commitment that they will procure their furniture locally for all of the offices across the country. And this is making a very useful contribution to the re-energizing of the furniture sector. And likewise, 50 accredited buyers talking to the people that are in the expo. Already this morning at 8 o'clock, we had 854 pre-arranged meetings for those buyers. A really important task because many of our smaller members, this is their first opportunity, first exposure to place their products in a much larger shelf space. In the community organizations, one of the biggest tasks we've got is to create awareness in the community of the economic importance of buying local. I spent a large part of my life talking to my own family. And maybe that's why each one of us start. When I stand there, Imam asks, are you truly South African? I can tell you, where this jacket was made, where the suit was made. I can even tell you where the underpants was made. Right. And that's because I have an awareness. And my family know now. My daughter gave me a present this year on my birthday. And it said, designed in South Africa. And then I showed her, thank you very much for the present, but made in China. So they even, in my extended family, are beginning to say to me, here's a present made in South Africa. Because I've created that awareness in my... What are you doing in your own family? What is Sanko doing in the communities where we are active? We really need to mobilize within the religious community. Can we have a day in the year where every priest and imam on their pulpits will tell people of the benefits of buying local? We really need to go back to the UDF days when we knew how to mobilize people on the ground, when we built street committees and create awareness within our communities of the evil of apartheid and how successful we became in destroying apartheid against great odds. That is the kind of mobilization I'm asking of our community sector. Organized labor, for those of you who know me very well, it is about 3 decades ago that I was a trade unionist. But really, we in the trade union movement made commitments in 2011, which we have all conveniently forgotten about. We said that we're going to ask our shop stewards in these manufacturing plants to go to their employers and say, we're going to create a procurement committee. And the shop stewards was going to encourage their bosses to make sure that they procure locally. I failed miserably, and I know how clever these people are. They does what Trevor Noah and others do. But this is not an April Fool's joke. So on the 1st of April, we're launching the Proudly South African e-commerce site. I hope this is going to work if we can play this video.
Welcome to a journey of local excellence. At our Proudly South African online store, you'll find the finest locally made products crafted with passion and skill. Every product tells a story. From handmade crafts to innovative designs, each item embodies the spirit of local producers whose products have been vetted for local content and quality by Proudly South African. Experience hassle-free shopping with our user-friendly interface. Choose from various payment methods and delivery options tailored to your convenience. Join us in celebrating South African-made products and growing their market share. Want to showcase and sell your own creations? Contact Proudly SA today. Explore, shop, celebrate Proudly South African products. Buy local to create jobs. Showcasing local excellence, your gateway to South Africa's finest products.
Colleagues, I thank you for the opportunity to welcome you to the 2025 Buy Local Summit. I trust that it will be a fruitful and profitable experience to be here. And as you can see with the e-commerce site, we try as Proudly South Africa to make it easy for you to find products that are produced in our land. Thank you very much.